As we celebrate Africa Day, a recent study commissioned by the Ichikowitz Family Foundation reveals Pan-Africanism is at an all-time high for Africa's youth. The study shows continent-wide resiliency, institutional trust, cohesion, and collective Afro-Optimism in facing the challenges ahead. About 8 in 10 of those who were polled agreed that young people in Africa share a common identity brought forth by a common culture and shared history. For more on that, we're now joined by the Ichikowitz Family Foundation's chairman, Ivor Ichikowitz. Thank you very much for your time this evening. Great to hear so much optimism on Africa Day, despite finding ourselves in difficult times with regards to the coronavirus pandemic. When did the Ichikowitz Family Foundation commission this study, and what prompted that decision?
We commissioned the study about a year ago, and we commissioned it because I spend my life traveling in Africa. I spend my life living in Africa, and my Africa is such a different Africa to what I hear about in Europe and the United States and elsewhere in the world. My Africa was always an energetic Africa, a proud Africa, a resilient Africa. And I constantly heard about this dark continent with all of these terrible problems that I suppose it's become very fashionable to talk about these things. And I wanted to back up what I saw with some scientific evidence and proof. And that's why we decided to do the survey. And it was a big risk because there was a chance that I'd find out that what I saw and what I believed wasn't the truth. But I'm very pleased to tell you on Africa Day that I was right. We were vindicated.
Right.
This is a remarkable continent with remarkable people, with amazing resilience and huge optimism. And in 2020, we can say very proudly that this is a continent whose youth believe very strongly in their future, a continent that believes that they have it in their own hands to resolve the challenges and the issues that they're faced with, and a continent that sees themselves as a very important part of the global economy. So a year later, long before, when we started this long before COVID-19 became a reality, and there was some very, very telling things that came out of the survey that have shown the resilience that has helped us get through this crisis the way the continent has.
Give us some detail about the kinds of people that were included in the study and some of the findings.
I was very keen to get an understanding of what our next generation of leadership would look like. So we specifically targeted 18 to 24-year-olds, because 18 to 24-year-olds are the next generation of leadership now. They are the people that are going to take the continent to the next stage, and they are there ready to take those leadership roles right now. So that was the demographic that we wanted to cover. We also wanted to cover north, south, east, west. We wanted to cover the entire continent, even though in the first year we only surveyed 14 countries. Next year we'll do another 14 and then another 14, and the plan is to cover the whole continent every 4 years. But we wanted to cover the entire continent because I wanted to find out if there really was such a thing as an African youth. This continent is so huge, we're so diverse, we've got so many diverse cultures, religions, tribal affiliations. Is there really an African youth? And the good news is there really is an African youth. Right across the continent, irrespective of language, we have a youth that identifies themselves very strongly by their African roots.
The studies help to inform our outlook, but they should also provide knowledge on which we can base practical change. So how are you putting the results of this study to good use to either change mindsets or to change futures?
The data that backs the study is very comprehensive. We've had a very strong team of scientists and data technicians put together a data set which can now provide practical, real input to governments, to financial institutions, to donor agencies, to aid agencies, to medical institutions, on which they can back real, tangible action. Actionable intelligence is what our objective was. And we're now starting to put together country-by-country reports that give governments and give all of these agencies data that they can base policy on. Because data is of no value unless you take it and turn it into policy. And we're now at a point where things are moving so fast in the world and moving so fast on the continent that we have to react to the real hopes, the real aspirations, and the real mindset of the people right now. We don't have time to wait for this to evolve over years. And the data that we found in the survey is already being used right now by governments all over the continent to educate things that they're doing in real time.
Well, that's certainly great news. Thank you very much for your time. We have been speaking to Chairman of the Ichikowitz Family Foundation, Ivor Ichikowitz. Absolutely fitting that on Africa Day we should be talking about Afro-Optimism and the dawn of the African century.